Not because they're special and dear to my heart, but because they're actually special type. I guess the ice area mostly is just to prepare you for this area. Their policies use Pokemon that are stronger than Dragon? Well, that's kind of hard because the only two types are Dragon and Ice. So you're using Water and a Dragon. But don't worry, don't worry. He doesn't use Dragon. He uses things that are stronger against Dragon. But again, there's only two types in this game. That's why I still find it funny, though, that the only type that only has one weakness is Electric. I'm not joking. There's only one type in all of Pokemon that only has one weakness, and that is Electric. Electric is only weak to ground. It makes sense. I'm not saying it doesn't make. I'm not saying that it doesn't make sense. I'm just wondering why there's only one type in all of Pokemon that has only one weakness, and yet Dragon that had two weaknesses, mind you, but most of the dragons were quad weak to one of its weaknesses, mind you, needed another weakness. Like I'm so confused. Like if you really wanted, wait, what? I'm confused here. Do you want me to? No, because I can't do that. Oh, I guess I'm supposed to go down these stairs then? That's exactly what it is, okay. Yeah, because like I'm trying to... Yeah, because it doesn't make any sense though that like a type that only has one weakness still only has one weakness. A type that has two weaknesses doesn't, like, I don't understand. I have a question because I don't know exactly what its weaknesses is, because I think it's the same boat for this, but I think it's because it's more common, if that makes sense. Okay, so in current versions, or not really in current versions, but like in that, so Dragon shared similarities to the Ghost typing in terms of how they associated their weaknesses, which is two, itself and another type. So maybe they wanted to remove that. Maybe they wanted to remove it so there was no distinction between that, but that doesn't make any sense either because it doesn't really make sense in my opinion. But it's weird. It's just weird in my opinion that they did it this way. But I remember I made that point, or I thought of this a similar thing when I first got a Salamence. I think I was saying like that's kind of weird that Dragon's only weak to two things, and then I realized that when it said like Dragon and Ice, I'm like, wait, isn't there another type that does something similar to that? And I couldn't remember what it was, but it's Ghost. Yeah, like Ghost is only weak to Dark and Ghost, which is interesting. Because that doesn't make much sense to me. Like, why would you have a type that's only weak to itself and another type twice, but yet there's only one type in all of Pokemon that is weak to only one type? Like, Electric is so broken, and especially since it already has one Pokemon that literally has no weaknesses. Wanna know why? Well, it's because it has Levitate, which means that ground-type moves don't affect it. Oh, wait. Because Electric only has one weakness, and because that weakness is ground, and Levitate prevents ground-type moves from affecting you, oh my god, it's got no weaknesses. And this Pokemon was introduced before Fairy type was introduced. So you know what Fairy could have done? Fairy could have been super effective against Electric and Dragon, and it would neutralize many of the offensive typings that are actually very dangerous. Since, I don't know, Electric only has one weakness. But then again, most Pokemon can learn ground type moves, so I guess that might be what technically makes it neutral in its own way. But not when you have one Pokemon that's actually not weak to anything. That's why when I had a Gen 5, that's why when I found a Gen 5 save, that was hilarious because it actually had a... It had, what was it? It had... Oh, what was it? Ah, oh, brain. I need you to catch up, please. Oh, it had a Spirit Tomb with Wonder Guard. Okay, if you do not know, in Gen 5, there were two Pokemon that did not have weaknesses. These two Pokemon, by the way, were Spiritomb and Sableye, because they were dark ghost types. So nothing was super effective against them. And because nothing was super effective against them, nothing could defeat them if you gave it the ability Wonder Guard, which means that the only thing that can hit them is moves that are super effective. But there is none. There is no moves that are super effective against a dark ghost type. But when I did a lot of research on dark type because I wanted to figure out what the best type combination for a Arceus was, I came to the conclusion, because I had a guidebook, I think it was for Black and White, I think, and it had the type chart at the back. I was researching it a lot. Like, I was looking at different type combinations. I was trying to figure out different move pools and different move sets that would make the Arceus such an overpowered threat. And I kept reading and reading and reading, and I'm like, well, the only thing that makes sense is Dark. Dark is only weak to 2 types. And the only ones that you need to counter are technically 3 types, which you can counter with 3 type of moves. Dark, Fighting, and Flying. If you have those, you win. The only thing you need to do is outspeed and be able to one-hit KO the opponent, no matter which move you use of those 3 types. Then you win. There's nothing you can lose. Because the only thing that I can think of, because of all my research, I found out that Bug was one of the super effective moves against Dark. So when I did my research for Spiritomb and Sableye, I was like, okay, they only have one weakness. They only have Bug as their weakness. Because I thought Ghost doesn't do anything for Bug. And then my friend, because I was still in school at this time, we were going through Link battles, and it was funny just to see them, just see like the Wonder Guard Spirit Tomb kind of thing. Like it was for jokes, it was for laughs. We didn't take too seriously, right? So when he was trying to figure out different ways of finding it, there was one solution that he came up with. So the weakness that Wonder Guard has is that there are some moves that ignore abilities. So if you were not fully aware, there was an ability called Turbo Blaze on a Reshiram. Or as I used to call it, Reshiram, because that's how I thought it was pronounced. Anyway, so my friend was using a Reshiram, and I was using I think it was my Spirit Tomb. And while we were fooling around with that, his Reshiram was used a move, I can't remember what it was, and it landed through Wonder Guard, and I was baffled by that. How did your Pokemon bypass my Wonder Guard? That's weird. And then we found out that, at that time, like, oh, by the way, Turbo Blaze neutralizes it. So I went, oh no, that's a threat. So I switched into a Rayquaza, and the Rayquaza pretty much took out the Reshiram, and then I went back into my Spirit Tomb and went, okay, now the threat's gone. And then we proceeded to continue onward like nothing ever happened. So it was very funny. But it was all for fun. It was all for jokes and laughs, so it was fine. Was my friend a little angry at the fact that I was using a Spirit Tomb with no weaknesses? I mean, wouldn't you be angry at the fact that you can't hit a Pokemon because it has an ability that only one Pokemon's supposed to have? Of course. It's the equivalent of, what was it? What is it? It's like if you gave Slacking huge power. Okay, first of all, Slacking is stronger than some legendaries. I almost said most. Some legendaries. I think it's close to box art legendaries too. And if you gave that thing huge power, oh boy, you win. Hands down, you won. There's no way you can't lose. You just won at that moment. Huge power Slacking, you win. Because Slacking's attack is base 160. And how huge power works is that whatever you have at the attack, it is doubled. So if 160, let's say, is like over, we'll say 450 attack. So add like 225 attack on top of that. So now your Pokemon is over 600 attack. You want to know what Pokemon in all of Pokemon that actually has a stat that you can actually get? Not counting Eternatus here. You can actually get a hold of that will actually have a stat that goes over 600. I think it's only one, but I want to make sure that I am correct on that. Okay, there's two Pokemon, sorry. But I want to see what actually Slacking's like base power attack is, because I have a feeling that I might have like underballed it. 460. I kind of underballed it, but not by much. There are two Pokemon in all of Pokemon that have a stat that is close to it. Want to know what that is? They are the two most bulkiest Pokemon because of their HP. Chansey and Blissey. And what is their HP? Their base HP is, well, their base HP is over 200. So, considering the fact that, like, your attack is, like, over 600, your attack is pretty much just as much as their HP is. But you want to know what the big difference between the two is? Slacking still has other stats. Blizzy and Chansey only have, like, a lot of HP and a lot of special defense. Everything else is just not as on par to it. So, you really don't want to mess with it, kind of thing. Alright, so that's going to be it for now. I'm sorry for that long rant or talk or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, that's going to be it for today. Next time, we're going to try and get the Lugia, I'm pretty sure. And we're going to go and see what Professor Elm wants. So, yeah. So I'll see you guys next time for some more Pokemon Silver.